Hi, Stamper fans. I'm back. I missed you last week. So happy to be back. It was weird not going live. Uh, but we were on vacation last week, so I took most of the week off. Those of you that are on my email list know that I did shoot you out some very important information last Wednesday. So I took about a half an hour and got that out of the way and enjoyed the rest of my vacation. So thank you for joining me for another Make It Monday. And um, tonight I have a very fun shiny card, very shiny. You'll see that better in a minute because the lights are not up here. So, but anyway, I am Nan Gerlitz, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Bloomington, Illinois, and I am here to help women rediscover themselves through creativity with card making tips and inspiration. So, and you might ask, what does that mean? That means that, like, instead of being so and so's mom, you could be your own person and kind of rediscover some things. And card making is a great way to do that because you can get together with friends, you can make new friends, all sorts of things like that, and just kind of craft together. And it's very low stress and low pressure and just fun things. And plus, when you make a card and you send a card, you actually put a smile on someone else's face. So that's always good. So, for those of you joining me live tonight, go ahead and drop a comment, say hi. I'd love to say hi back. For those of you watching the replay, I'm so glad you're joining me. You can drop a comment as well. I'd be happy to know that you stopped by. And as always, anybody, whether you're watching live or the replay, go ahead and drop any questions you have into the comments, because even if I'm no longer live, I'll be sure to monitor those and get back to you. So let's flip the camera down, switch the view, whatever you want to say, because the camera's already flipped down. Sorry. So guys, today was my first day at my new full-time job during the day. So my brain is a little fried. Hello, Benny. Making dinner. Yay, I'm so glad you're here. And I'm so glad you made it in time, because my first little order of business was to say thank you to my dear Penny for this gorgeous card she sent me, welcoming me back to Library World, because Penny and I met at my previous library job, where she's an awesome librarian too. And she's also a fabulous stamper. So as you can see, so this is a cool gatefold card with an envelope flap, and I just love it. And it uses one of my favorite paper packs, the Design a Daydream, which is retiring, by the way. So yeah, thank you again, Penny. I absolutely loved it. It was such a fun surprise. See, even I get a big smile when I get cards in the mail. So it's a good thing to send people. Yes, I very much did like it. Thank you very much. Russ was very impressed as well. So, okay, so retiring. Did I just say retiring? Yeah, not me. I started a new full-time job back at in Library World at the Bloomington Library, and so very excited. And I will say it's, anytime you start a new job or you learn something new, right? It's like that whole drinking from the fire hose thing. At first, you're just inundated with new information. And it is kind of nice to pop into this back into Library World, because it's really the job that I did up north before we moved, just here locally. So a lot of things are familiar, and I just need to learn their way of kind of doing some stuff. So that's good, at least. Yeah, you impressed the Stamper Man. You always impress the Stamper Man. I know he was very impressed with that cool fun fold you did last spring when we all got together too. So, yes. Okay, so back to retirement. I was talking. Retirement list savings thing starts tomorrow. So every time a catalog is going to end, which both, I don't have them over here, sorry. Both the mini catalog and the big annual catalog are both retiring at the end of this month, April. And as you get close to the end anyway, anything that they're not going to carry over starts to run out. So everything right now that is retiring is while supplies last. So that's my first caveat. So when that happens, when catalogs are going to go out, Stampin' Up! Releases retirement lists. And so these lists are kind of long this year because we had an extra little thing called a color refresh. They do that every about 5 years, and it was about 5 years ago that they did it. So what they do is they examine the colors and see, are any of them out of style? Do we have holes anywhere? Do we need more blues or more pinks or, whatever, that kind of thing. And the tones of color also happen a lot, get looked at. So all of that stuff gets examined. And we actually had a really cool video. And if I can share it, I will. No, there was a different one. That's right. Never mind. It was a demonstrator only video from our CEO and several of the employees at Stampin' Up! Talking about how they examine color and how they talk about which products they're going to bring in and which ones are going to leave and all that kind of stuff. I will not go into the details because I certainly don't remember all of them, but it was really cool. And it comes down to they are getting rid of 11 of our core colors, plus only 4 of the in colors that were already scheduled to retire. They're bringing back 7 colors that we used to have. They were in colors at one point, and then they are introducing 4 new colors into the core collection. So we have 43 colors, I think it is, in the core collection. And then we have another 10 in our in colors all the time. So Fresh Freesia, which was an in color that was supposed to retire this year, actually got moved into the core collection. And I'm so excited because I love Fresh Freesia. So that's happy for me. So moving on, because you didn't come here to just listen to me yap all night. But the card we are making tonight was my entry into Friday Night Stamping last week. Because yes, even though we were gone, we pre-stamped for all of you lovely folks, so you still had something to vote on. And I sadly did not win, but only 1 vote separated us. And I think that was the same for last week. So close votes lately. So yes, so this is all embossed. You can tell the sentiments embossed, the palm trees, the background. And then I used, that's embossed in gold. And then I used copper foil to frame these 2 elements as well. So it's that monochromatic card, but it's very metallic, which is very cool. So, and I just noticed tonight that I used the retirement wishes sentiment. So it totally fits. And I did that before I knew that the hand-drawn dots, the paradise palms, and the copper foil, and the layering circles, all on the retiring list, guys. So those are all going away and are available now while supplies last. So kind of funny that I made a retirement card and didn't even realize that it was appropriate. So let's get started. I also have an alternative to show you tonight at the end of the video that uses the same layout, but totally different colors and totally different style, different stamp set and everything. What do I got here? Okay, so I am using tonight the Stamparatus. I know, I had a premonition. Seriously, I can't find my mouse. There it is. Okay, drink of water. Seriously, you guys, I did not get to finish all my water at work today because I was just busy learning new things and getting a tour of the library and all that kind of stuff. And it was a great day. And as always in the library world, the people are fabulous. So it's going to be a good job. So one of the other things that I'm using tonight that is also on the retiring list is our Stamparatus. This is our stamp positioning tool. It actually has another plate just like this that goes up here. So you get it with 2 plates. But I tend to, because you store it with only one of them, so the other one doesn't warp, I tend to just use one most of the time. So the reason I am using the Stamparatus tonight is that I like to use it with the big background stamps. You can also use our very largest acrylic block, which is slightly larger than the background stamp. So you can totally use that as well. I have the Stamparatus. I prefer to use it for this. It's super, super easy. So you'll notice I did not even put the label on this guy yet. So, because with background stamps, I kind of, well, especially ones that aren't upside up, I kind of feel like you don't need to. So with the Stamparatus, I just put the stamp side down, swing the plate over to pick it up. So now basically that's like your big acrylic block, right? You'll notice that I have used this because this week I am featuring the Hand Drawn Dots background stamp. And so I made all my samples with it. So you can see all the different colors I used. Okay, what am I doing? Right. You guys, seriously, my brain is fried today. So we are using Very Vanilla, which I don't often use. So it's just all Very Vanilla and the copper foil, which are retiring, I think I mentioned, and I love copper, so I'm kind of sad about that. But we're still going to have gold and rose gold and all the pretties, so there'll still be plenty of stuff. So I'm using the thick Very Vanilla as the base, which is 8.5 by 5.5 inches, scored at 4 1/4. I already pre-scored this and everything. Normally we have vanilla and white bases already cut and scored and folded, ready to go, because we know that we're only using those for bases. So then I've got, something on there. I got a piece of the regular Very Vanilla, and this is 5 by 3 3/4 because I wanted a wide border on this guy instead of a skinny border. So I'm just going to put this down, and I like to just use that Stampin' Up! Logo as kind of my placement. And we'll put that down there so we can stamp on it. But I'm going to grab because I'm also using my embossing additions kit, which actually comes with my favorite tweezers that you guys know I love. But I'm using this for the embossing today. So I'm going to grab my embossing buddy out of here. And I'm just going to take a swipe over the cardstock on that. And what that does is that gets like the oils from your fingers and any static and everything off of the cardstock, so that when you go to put the embossing powder on, it doesn't stick to the places you don't want it to. A little piece of dust there. Okay. So, Versamark. Versamark is the only ink we are using today because it's an embossing ink and I embossed everything. So we're going to start off by inking up our stamp. Now, Versamark is a watermark ink, so it is colorless, but it also stays wet or tacky a bit longer. You can see that's a little shiny. That's where the ink is. So you can see if you have, ooh. Okay, so my phone stand is metallic. I didn't realize that, and my magnets are sticking to it. So that's a little new piece of information for me. Okay, so this is why I love to use the Stamparatus with the big background stamps, because I don't have to hold a big block and I can just kind of put it down and then press it all over the place. I forgot to grab my eraser. I usually use a dry eraser for a dry erase board to rub all over evenly. And I will say I did not do good coverage on this one to start with. You can see I missed parts, and that's fine because it kind of added to the whole look of it, I think. I think I did a better job this time. Okay, so let me get this whole guy out of the way because I don't need it for the rest of my project. We're going to take our Versamarked piece of cardstock and our gold embossing powder. I'm just going to put it in the little Powder Pals tray here. I actually like to tip them up. And you just sprinkle the powder on. And it's just like when you did like glitter and glue when you were in kindergarten, right? You put the glue on it and then you sprinkle the glitter on and the glitter sticks. So the embossing powder just sticks to where the Versamark was. Got an extra little googly there. And that's what that brush is for. Yeah, this is the problem when you do an entire piece like this, but it's okay. Okay, now I want to close my embossing powder, even though I'm going to use it again, because I'm going to use my heat tool to heat up that embossing powder. And this is one of the reasons these tweezers are awesome, because they stay closed. So now we're going to make a little noise. Thanks, Penny. Yeah, that's what Russ said. He thought that the kind of, you know, not full coverage was good too. So we'll see the difference now because I managed to get it right this time. Okay. So once again, I will say, and hopefully you can hear me okay, is that the heat tool we sell now has been updated so that there's a plastic cover over that heat nozzle, and that just protects anybody from getting burned. Mine is 21 years old, 20 or 21 years old. It is from Stampin' Up. It's got an amazing motor in it, and it's just lasting and lasting, so I figured why buy a new one. The new one also does have a low and a high setting, so if you want to just dry something like an adhesive or trying to think of other things. Well, if you had a wet ink like this, but you just wanted to dry it, you didn't need to emboss, you could use the low setting for that. Hopefully you heard all that. So there we go. Now we have a beautiful embossed background. Super fun. It almost could be like a giraffe. If I had a giraffe stamp, that would look really cool with this background stamp. Okay, I'm actually going to leave this powder in here for right now and try to do my other pieces with it, because why scoop it back and forth, right? Okay, so we need to do our palm trees and our greeting. So I mentioned the hand-drawn dots background stamp is retiring. So if you like this, and especially I'll be sharing samples with it all week, if by the end of the week I've convinced you, make sure you scoop it up before it goes away. Oh, that's a good idea, Penny. Yes. So your heat tool is really good if you are stamping on vellum, because vellum is not as porous, and so the ink kind of sits on it instead of soaking in so much, and it takes a long time for that stuff to dry. Using your heat tool to dry ink on vellum is perfect. Thanks for the tip. Thanks for the reminder. Okay, so we have our palm trees. Seriously, whoo, don't make me make any big decisions tonight because I am not up for it. Okay, so for these, I'm just using my regular block. And this, as always, I have linked in the description to a full supply list with cardstock measurements. So you can get all of that by clicking on that link. And you can shop for your favorites right there as well. So once again, we just have a shiny image there. You can barely see it. And then I want my, yeah, I'm too lazy to even take the other stamp off, you guys. Okay. That is all of our stamping. And now take my tweezers and we're just going to scoop that embossing powder onto our images. See, and this is what happens when you don't use your embossing buddy, because I was jabberjawing and I forgot. And this is why they have included a brush for you. I've got an extra little thing there. Okay, we're going to restamp that on the other side. So if you make a mistake like that, you can just, before you heat emboss, you can just brush all that powder back off onto your little powder pal and reuse it. So this one, let's see how this one did. Much better. We do have, as you can see, little flakes of stray embossing powder kind of everywhere. So I think I'm going to do the same thing with this. So lesson learned, and I did not do that on purpose. Use your embossing buddy. Okay, let's turn this guy over so we have a fresh side. Grab our embossing buddy. And I will say, I went years embossing without the embossing buddy, and it does make a huge difference. Okay, let's try this again, shall we? So we will ink up our palm trees. Pop them over here. Look at that. Much better. Just that one change, just using the embossing buddy, makes such a big difference. It is a very Monday-ish Monday. And as I said, I mean, okay, so here's how my day started out. I did not have to start work today until like 9:30 because the business manager that I work for has a lot of stuff to take care of on Monday mornings. So she thought, well, and I didn't have my keys yet to get in through the employee entrance. So she's like, we'll just have you start at 9:30 today. Great. So I slept in a little bit, but I did not get up that much later than I normally do. And I decided to leave probably 15 minutes before I really needed to. And thank goodness, because my car didn't start. So there we go. Much better. None of those crazy little blobbies. And so let's put our embossing powder out of the way so we don't heat it as well. That would be a mess. And I will continue that story in a moment. Make a little bit more noise. I absolutely love embossing because it's magic. It's basically one of the most magical stamping things you can do. Look at how pretty. People are going to be so impressed when you send them a card with embossing. Oh yes, Penny. Yes, so I got in my car and I'm like, oh no. Well, we realized for one thing that, we went on vacation last week and we took Russ's car to the airport. So my car's been sitting for like a week. And then I realized that I was not working the week before that either. And we usually kind of take his truck when we go places. So it's probably been 2 weeks since my car's been started. And apparently my battery has a known problem. So, and if it doesn't get started and run, for like more than 15 minutes, once a week at least kind of thing, it just dies and that's it. So getting a new battery, but thank goodness that's all it was. That was my hope, was that it was just a battery thing. So that's good. Okay. Yeah. So now we need to do some die cutting and assembly. So that guy's going to get cut by hand. We really just need to die cut this. We're going to use the Baby Boss, the mini Stamp and Cut and Emboss, because it will totally fit the 2 circles that I'm using. Okie doke. First, let me see which of these dies I used. That one. And I think this one. Yes. Okay. So I've also, if you've been watching me for a minute, you guys know how much we use the layering circles dots. They are on the retiring list. There have been lots of tears shed in this house because of these dies. So, and I will tell you something, as a demonstrator, as a business demonstrator, I do this as a business. I'm trying to, make some money, right? And feed my habit. When something retires, I don't use it anymore because I would hate to use something and get you guys excited about something and then say, "Oh yeah, you can't buy that. It's done. It's gone. It's been gone for years." That's not a good business decision for me. But for all of the demonstrators that are just in it, I love that. For the discount, they're just here as hobbyists, whatever, happy shoppers, discount divas, whatever you want to call them. They don't care if it's retired or not, right? They're not trying to sell anything. They're just purchasing stuff for their own habit for the most part. So that's fine, but definitely get it before it leaves if you don't have it already. And for all of you happy shoppers, you customers, you don't care if it's retired either. You can keep using it. So this is why tears were shed in our house, because things don't get used once they get retired. But you can get them and happily use them for many, many, many years of wonderful crafting experience. Okay. So layering circles, seriously, must have. We do have some other dies that are circle dies in the new catalog, but not a set just of circles and scalloped circles that nest all like this. So I really feel like there's not an equivalent coming back out. So if you don't have them yet, this is on your must-have list. Got it? Got it. Good. Okay, I'll stop lecturing. Okay, let's attach our palm trees. Oh, look at that. So there was obviously some residual left on that side still, and it embossed through the paper. It's a bonus. Okay, absolutely love the little peak. It's like the tiniest peak of scallops that you get with these circles. Fabulous. Okay. And our greeting. So for this one, I'm going to do that cool little trick with my trimmer that I learned from my friend Jamie. So I wanted a angled edge. I like an angled edge more than just a straight rectangle, right? So if I'm not going to die cut it or punch it or anything like that, I like to use a little bit of an angled edge. So I just did it wherever I wanted. That's cool. So then when you flip it around, you line up that angle with one of these lines on the trimmer, and it will be the same angle on the other side. Voila! Easiest way to do that. I don't know how I went 20 years without knowing that trick. It's an amazing trick. It's worth the price of admission here tonight, people, even though admission was free. Okay, so I'm just going to layer this right on here. And this one's very, very technical and hard to do. You take a pair of scissors and you eyeball it, because I didn't care if it was perfect, which is new for me. I just wanted a general, copper border mat on that. So, and I knew it would be fine if it was close. All right, another sip of water. I did not get enough water today, you guys. Which is probably why my brain's mush. Okay, so fun little thing we're doing tonight. I will be using dimensionals, yes, but I will also be using foam adhesive strips, because as you can maybe see, this guy got a little bit warped when I heat embossed him, right? It happens to the cardstock. So I decided to use the adhesive strips because then I could line all four sides of that and kind of get it to sit straighter, right? So let's use a full one here. These were originally released for shaker cards. And so they are actually like a taller dimensional than our regular dimensionals. And you can bend them and all sorts of things. For something like this that's got a straight cut, I tend to like to cut them instead of just bending them. But if you wanted, like if I wanted to go around the circle, I could bend them around the circle. So they're pretty handy. And as you can see, one strip went more than halfway around this card. We'll take another one. Let's see here. Right about there. So yeah, you can snip into them before you pull them off too. Let's use like half of that one. It's already trying to bend. So like I said, you can use it straight or bent or whatever. So if you can see, these are great for shaker cards because if you butt them right up against each other, there's no gaps. And then all of your little sequins or beads or whatever you're putting in your shaker card stay in place. And the height is good enough that they don't get stuck in there. So that is what I did here with this layer. So like I said, I just wanted more, I wanted to add some more stability because it had been heat embossed and it was a little wavy. So now you just pull the backs off of these just like any other dimensional. Da, 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 da. Okay. A nice thick border all the way around. And then I'll pull my dimensionals out for these guys. So usually on a circle, unless it's ginormous, I use 3 dimensionals. I find that to be plenty. And then this guy is only going to get a dimensional on this end because that's the end that's hanging over. On the other end, I'll just put a little bit of adhesive, stick it onto the circle. And there you go. So here we go, a full embossed one, and then the one that looks a little more shabby chic. I like them both. They're shiny and pretty and beautiful and monochromatic. But I did promise you an alternative with that same layout. And this is going to look completely different. Are you ready? Drum roll. Bam! So this is the Elephant Parade stamp set. So you can see I did the exact same background. I just did a balmy blue on balmy blue. So I didn't emboss anything. I used balmy blue ink on him. I did color him in a little bit with blends and the balloon as well. The balloon I hand cut because I really wanted it to float beyond that circle. So you can see I kind of just reversed the layout, right? I put the circle down and the greeting came out this way. And a little tiny bit of, if I can catch it, wink of Stella on the balloon. A little shiny. So there are my 2 cards for you tonight using the same layout. So you can see that you get a much different look just by changing the stamp set, changing the colors out. And I'm going to show you lots of other ways to use that hand-drawn dots background stamp that's not just a full background. I've got a few tricks up my sleeve this week, so make sure to stay tuned to the Facebook page and over on Instagram. I'm Stamper Nan over there as well. I'm Stamper Nan everywhere. But you'll see all the different ways that I use the hand-drawn dots stamp set background stamp this week. Let me pop up here. Hello there. Yeah, so this is the main thing I am featuring this week. And it is on the retiring list, as I said. The layering circles, guys, on the retiring list while supplies last. the Paradise Palm stamp set and the matching dies on the retiring list, and copper foil paper on the retiring list, and the Stamparatus. The Stamparatus, guys, seriously, one of the best tools I own. It sits in the drawer right in front of my stamping station or below my stamping station. So I pull it out all the time. I use it for background stamps. I use it for that hinge technique where you're making some, lining up a stamp stacked up on top of each other or along a row. And then they're perfectly aligned. It's a gorgeous thing. Also really good for anybody that has shaky hands, and so it's hard for them to stamp accurately or completely, or for anybody with arthritis, really good tool for that. But this is literally while supplies last. That's it. Once the Stamparatus is gone, it's not coming back. So very sad about that as well. And I'll be keeping mine and I'll be using mine for sure, because it's just that good of a tool. So don't miss it. Get yours today. All of the products that I have shown here today can be purchased from my website. There it is, which is also linked in the video description. So starting tomorrow, April 4th, 2023, the retiring list will be officially up on that site, and it will have discounts on some of the products. So some of the products are discounted, and some of those discounts are up to 60%. So you can get some good deals right now starting tomorrow, April 4th. So be sure you check that out. The really cool thing too is if you're not sure, oh, should I get something? Should I not? Should I wait? There is a cool little feature on my website when you click to shop all products. There's a choice where you can say low inventory, and then it'll show you everything that has a low inventory of it. So, and there's another button I discovered tonight, right before my live, that says retiring/low inventory. So tomorrow you can go click on that and see if it's going to be retiring and it's low inventory right now. That means get it now. Don't wait, because it's selling out. Okay? So that is all I have for you tonight. I will be back live next Monday. Not going to leave you again. So thank you so much for joining me. And I hope you learned something new today. And if you did, make sure to share the videos so that your friends and family can find out that new tip or trick as well. Until next week, I'm still Nan Gerlitz.